So as you know, this month we celebrate the elderly or older persons, and we thought that as part of awareness that we needed to do something for them. And last week we had the brunch, and today we're having this presentation on dementia. It's from lots of us experience in the members of the group, right? So we thought that this topic is one of the most fitting, not just for the persons who are older, but for us as young persons. We're not sure what's going to happen to us as well. So how to prepare ourselves, right? And this really came from my own experience from my grandmother, who is or has been diagnosed with dementia. And some years ago, I remember she went to the health center. Usually she went by herself. And on this occasion, she did not come back, as she usually would. So we actually, at this time my sister was here, so we actually had to send for go looking. So everybody went up, down, side, front, and remember that she did go to the health center, so somebody did go there. When my sister got there, she realized she was there, and she was crying and so on, realizing that she sort of forgot, where she's at, what to do, how to come home, and nobody there really paid any attention to her. And at that time, we did not realize that this is what was happening to her. And years after, only now we are realizing that it was just the start or onset of dementia. And we're at a difficult period in our life as a family, so it's even more fitting for us to hear on dementia. So this evening, to do our presentation, we have invited Dr. Spencer, who has been here before, so he's not a stranger. He also works at the Mungay Hospital, and he also does private or outpatient services to persons who do require, right? So I now invite Dr. Spencer to share with us on dementia.
So good night again, and thank you for once more inviting me. I look forward to these sessions because I work in Mungay, and I've been there most of my working life, and I recognize that mental illness is not something that we want to even talk about. But the old adage says without mental health there is no health, and we really must believe that. If you have diabetes by itself or high blood pressure by itself and you're not mentally ill, you probably function well. But in the presence of mental illness and any one of these other illnesses, couple smoke your pipe, and you better have a good pipe. Okay, so let's start. In my way of thinking, and because I'm older than many of you here, an ounce of prevention, they told me, is better than a pound of cure. So it's 16 times better if you try to prevent. Some things we cannot fully prevent, but if we try to prevent, then life is going to be better for us. So by that I mean that we have to, and I was talking, usually I say that we have to start the prevention from in the womb. And by that I mean, I will finally get to the topic. Don't be disheartened. I will get there. Starting in the womb means that the couple who are going to be providing the offsprings need themselves to be well-nourished, well-exercised, have good thoughts, and so on and so forth. Things don't happen by chance. If we don't do that, then we are in problems. So, because if you have to breastfeed this baby, then So the onus is on the mother, so to speak. But if you have to breastfeed this baby, it means that you yourself must be well. You have to have good thoughts. You have to first want the baby. You have to plan for this baby. You have to take care of yourself. So hopefully your parents and grandparents would have prepared you well, so you would have you'll be eating your vegetables and drinking water and eat the fruits and forget the bottled drinks which come easily and forget the processed foods and eat the dashina and all of these things. That's how we will stay well, and that's how we will have healthy babies. And we need to talk to this child in the womb. And the other party needs to talk also. So he needs to be there, play with the baby while the baby is in the womb. And you will be surprised how much that baby, well, we shouldn't be surprised, but the baby responds. So we're talking about it and we're going along till we get this person now who is age 60, because most cases of the dementia, they talk about pre-senile, before age 60, or after age 60, with late onset dementia. And as we get beyond 60, for every decade, we have twice as many, or 20% of those persons being more likely to have dementia. So 70, 80, 90 years. So the older we get, is the more likely we are. So we cannot aim to prevent at 60 or try to remedy. Quite often, there is no treatment that would offset, except if you have some kind of medical condition like diabetes and so on. And even then, so it may be reversible in such cases. People with diabetes, high blood pressure, there may be, these ones may be reversible. But the dementia like Alzheimer, which is because of loss of the brain cells, that might happen because of genetic reasons or because of other issues with the brain tissue. And you know we don't like to recognize that the brain gets sick. We figure the heart could always get sick, but not the brain, because we don't want the C or the L or the M. But if you don't take care of it, the C and the M and the L would happen. It's quite likely to happen. I'm not here to scare anybody, but that is the reality of the situation. We have to take care of ourselves. And so how do we take care of ourselves? I'm going to ask the young lady with the white blouse in front of me, how do we take care of ourselves? Because everybody has to talk tonight. Oh, Miss Lady, I don't know what color blood that is. You see, I don't know color well.
So basically, you nourish yourself, you eat from your food groups.
Yes.
Balanced diet.
Okay. Anybody else? What about your neighbor to your right? I didn't hear you. Say it again, please. Oh, the prettier the food, yes. Particularly the vegetables, yes. Because the thing is, the C comes with C. So the comfortable, if you live in comfortably, then there might be a cost down the road. So if you don't like to walk, if you don't like water, if you don't like the vegetables, there just may be a cost health-wise down the road. So the earlier we try to eat these things, like I said, from in the womb, yes, none of us will want breast milk now, no matter how good it is. Why would we not want it? Huh? It has no taste. Well, you see, we were born with a taste. All of us black people, we have taste. You know, we know how to dance and we know how to dress. We have good taste. But guess what happened? Somebody decided that you should have sugar and you should have salt.
We passed that stage.
When? When did we pass that stage? Huh? But no.
From a baby?
I mean, we passed the stage for milk. Yeah, but if it were given to you, even though they say breast milk is best, we won't want it because they say we have altered the taste. So now we alter the taste. We want something sweet and we want something salty. And then we get high blood pressure and you get diabetes and you get stroke and you get kidney failure and you get heart failure and you get blind and you lose the legs. All of that because these are lifestyle conditions. When I was in medical school a couple of years ago, they had something they called the Western diseases, diabetes, even constipation, Western disease, because the food is very processed and there's no fiber in the food. But we join in them. I have a good friend of mine. He said those children don't want fig, they don't want blubber, they want rice, they want macaroni, they want corn. So let's go outside in the garden and plant. We take macaroni, rice, corn, peas. And of course the macaroni and the rice didn't bust. But that is how we want to live. And that doesn't help us because it is so processed. And the businessman doesn't worry about us because the food is processed and then they sell you the gluten, they sell you the wheat germ that is took out from the flour, from the, what they make flour from the wheat, and sell you the wheat germ because they have constipation. They want to have something to boost the fiber content in the food. Yeah? So that is what it is. So the dementia now is cognitive disorder. Cognitive means our thinking and so. And it basically is impairment of our memory. Yes? So we may not remember things that we learned or things that we were just told. So if I said, when I see a patient, I give you 3 words: shoe, basket, pencil. And after a minute and a half, so you repeat it, and then I say, after a minute and a half, tell me, and you can't remember it. Yes, because you cannot form new memory. So that's what the dementia is. So that's why the lady couldn't find her way home. Because even though she had been going there for years and years and years, this day she just couldn't find her way home. And they have other things that go with it, with the speech. Well, where do you live? Up there. They can't really tell you where they live. And this would go on, this could get worse than just a short-term memory. It could also get to, at the end of the day, they don't know, he or she may not know him or herself, can't tell you what their name is. But, and they may ask, the husband may say, well, who is this woman in the house? And they've been married for 50 years, but he can't recall that face. So it's in my mind, it's the second, there's a toss of the joint first, diabetes and dementia. Because diabetes really takes a toll on you. Like I said, it affects every part of your body. Because it attacks the blood vessels, so the vessels to the eyes, so you get blind. The vessels to your legs, so you lose the legs, to the kidney, to the heart, to every part of the body can be affected with the diabetes. So hence the reason we need to do our utmost, not because because there's a family history that you should have diabetes or dementia or high blood pressure. Some people tell me all sorts of stuff, but it's not. It is, like I said, not in stone. And even if it's in stone, we have to try, and we have to try to start early. I can't get any one of you now, no matter, unless you have to, and even if you were sentenced to 10 years hard labor in prison, you still may not want to change the taste. You may still want to have the sugar sometimes. You get somebody bring you a piece of cake, or somebody bring you some saltfish sauce with all the salt. That is how it is. Change is not easy. So we have to start from very early, because how then do you take care of this 80-year-old person? Sometimes they may have, when we talk about the memory loss and we see persons around the island who get lost. And they get lost not because not the fault of the patient, but the fault of the carers. That's what it is. There's no hemming and hawing. The fault of the carers, because they will say, I remember going in to see somebody at home, and because I was going, the children got there to see with the mother, and the carer was there. And so the patient said, John came to see her yesterday, and bacchanal start because the daughter is saying something, the carer is saying another thing. So I said, well, what difference it makes? Because you're not going to change the price of coffee. She still won't remember whether it was yesterday. So you just getting yourself worked up over something that you can't change. So the whole point about it is that the family needs to get together to recognize what is happening and how we're going to care for this person. So I recently myself and other guys, we were talking about having some place where they could get some respite care. So just like you leave your child your baby at the daycare, you should be able to leave your parents somewhere, and at the evening you go home, because it's 48 hours work every day, you know. And if you don't know how to deal with them, it might be more than 48. No. So I remember I had a good friend of mine who came one day and asked me, she was visiting, so how is your son? I said, he's all right, and we talked and talked. And a few hours later on, she asked me again. And I said, we talked, and so on and so forth. Because if I get upset and say, well, I just told you that, it doesn't make sense, because he doesn't going to remember that she was just told. You have to recognize what battles to fight. And that is not one to fight, because they never will remember. So when they pack the bags and they say they're going, okay, let's go and come back. Because otherwise, there are going to be more issues. They get very agitated. They may want to lash out. Your old grandmother who never cursed will start to curse, and so on. And that is the situation. So we need to know that we can't, they said once a man, twice a child, but this second childhood is very much different from the first, because with the first you could train this child and you could bend the tree, but this old tree cannot bend and won't bend, because I'm older than you, and what you want to, that is, sometimes they will tell you so. But the main thing is that we have to show a lot of love and tender love and care, because they're not going to change. Well, not going to change. They cannot form the memories, the new memories, to know that I should eat this time, I should bathe, I should do this, and so on. That is not part of their psyche at this time. So you will find that, like I said, the memory is the basic symptom, for the Alzheimer's disease. So it is short-term memory. Oftentimes you hear people say, yes, I remember going to another house and the lady said to me, I said, if this person wasn't sick, you won't be here. Yes, I know that, but she called me a liar, she called me a thief. If you want the job, that's what, it's not anything you should be so taken aback by this person, because the person is not well, and you know what is making them unwell. So if you really know what is happening, then what you know shouldn't hurt you, if that is the way to put it. So it's about understanding, and the understanding is, the main thing is the memory. They're not going to form new memory, and you have to guard them like a hawk, because in that person's mind, I'm being imprisoned, they're locking me up in a place, and with strangers whom I don't know, her own children or husband or so. Brothers, I'm here with people whom I don't know. And they take umbrage, and like I said, they may lash out. Now, as far as the medication go, we could only treat the behavior. We can't do anything for the memory loss. Even what is usually said, if you find it early, and it's something that starts very slowly. but it's progressive. And like I said, those years ago when I was in school, they would say that people die after 3 or so years. No persons live to long years. And if the rest of you is all right, I mean, if you got a good heart and no high blood pressure and so on, you probably live a lot longer than if you have those others, as I said earlier on, if you have those others. So the dementia, like I said, may be something that happens primarily because of the aging process. You see, it happens at age 60 when it starts. Because of the aging process and the loss of the brain cells, maybe in the end I will give you some other. Because we lost these brain cells, we can't, the ability to think and do things. Well, something else I need to say also is that we should, some elderly persons, if you ask them to make a will, they will think, well, what happened? You want me to dead? You know, why you want me to make a will? You hear those comments from some folks, but these things are something we should do as early in life as we can. You could always alter it, but don't wait until you get 70, because what happens quite often with these people, then you have to get a lawyer to help you you have to go to court to say that you need to to get power of attorney to mind the businesses and so on, even if you don't have business, but your property. And that takes money, if nothing else. And so these things we need to do early in life, because sometimes things happen and we don't put it down, we don't see it as the start of this process. I say it comes on like a thief in the night, and it is progressive. So what we need to do, once if we could encourage them, maybe from the late 50s, early 60s, let's start to put our house in order. Even if it's not for the dementia, but anything could happen. We could go outside there and God forbid, something knock us down and we die, and then the children have to go to try and get these things done, which will take time and monies. So that is one point I think you should take home. If you have elderly patients, encourage them to have this done as early as you can, because and I guess the other point is to have family gatherings as much as you can, to keep them involved. Now, if the patient is somebody who has the capacity who still has the capacity to function, you could keep them alert by maybe with puzzles and doing little maths with them, singing and sing-alongs and so on. You could keep them, say, abreast. If they're going to be in a nursing home, they probably need to put pictures of the family and probably something else that is special to them in there, so that they could have some recollection. Like I said, the medication that is used is purely for the behavior and maybe to help them with sleep and some vitamins, because we cannot replace the brain cells. You could do that with the heart, you could transplant kidneys and corneas in the eyes and so on and so forth, but not with the brain, not as yet. And so we need to recognize that sometimes somebody may not be remembering, and we might not take it for much. We take it for granted that, well, sometimes we all forget. Until maybe some years down the road, they recognize, well, Daddy used to behave in this way, or John used to behave in this way. So it's not about being too aggressive, but at the same time you want to be aggressive. You need to get yourself educated about what the illness is, And as we said earlier on, we need to, it never is too late. Even though if you're 40 or 50, it may be late, close to midnight, but not midnight yet. Let us try and keep ourselves well. So as I said, they talk about the vegetables. The vegetables in your plate must be the whole plate. A little piece of meat in the middle, and meat is once in a while, not 2 and 3 and 4 times a day. You want animal protein. The local vegetables and fruits, so he said we need the fruits that are grown locally and what you could eat in the skin, please do. Like the pawpaw, the pumpkin, the carrot, the cucumber, even the ripe banana. And the green banana, if you want to try a little piece once in a while, but if you could, whatever you could eat in the skin, eat in the skin. Because most of the vitamins that we need is just below the skin. If you could eat seeds like pumpkin seeds, and where you always swallow cucumber seeds until sometime when you get, you might want to take them out. But what we could eat, if you could eat people say they eat pear seeds and mango seeds and so on. But try. All we have to do is start, and once we get started, we could. Then it becomes habitual, and it is to our benefit. And like I said, we have to prepare ourselves for the offsprings that we're going to have, or if we plan to have. So it's about planning and wanting and caring for me in the womb. You could, if you could Google something, I can't. It's a story, well, not a story, but a story of a youngster in Canada who had about 1% brain or 5% brain, active brain at birth, and his mother decides she's going to stop working, and the father and the children would chip in when they come from school and work. And you'll be surprised about the outcome of this child. So I'm not going to tell you. Try who au fait with the computer. You could Google it. I think 1% brain or something, or child with little brain. And you could see. Because we are the masters of our health. And if you don't do it, like I said, the comfort comes at a cost. Comfort comes at a cost. So if you want to be comfortable, then prepare for the cost. The cost is going to come, in whichever way. So I take a little break here. My mouth getting dry, but I'm not going to drink the water. Anybody wants to say anything, ask any question? No? All right.
Good night, Doc. I want to ask 2 questions, actually. Sometimes you may be in one room.
I might remember the second one, so ask one at a time.
Okay. Sometimes, I'm in one room, and I say, okay, I'm going to do something. But by the time I leave to go and do the thing, I forget completely. Or sometimes I'm saying something, and I can't remember the next word. Is this any sign of dementia? Is it scary? I find it scary. Yes? Is it a sign that I should look after? So it's scary. You need to go here to do something and you forget.
But quite often, the multitasking doesn't work quite often. So if you concentrate on, because we must first register what we want to do. So concentrate on it, and maybe it will help. But yes, that's what I want to say.
Okay.
I don't remember names well, but if I want to call a name, I go through the alphabet. Adam, Barry, Charles, David, Edwards, and then when I get down to M, I might remember whether it's Mark I wanted to talk to. So you have to find ways. But the main thing is to ensure that you're not trying to do 5 and 6 things at the same time. So you could give that one thing all your efforts. Now at this age, this is probably some of what we have to do. And what's the second one?
Okay, the second question is, I read somewhere that this lady had dementia, she was in the beginning stages, and then her grandson come and then he tell her, Grandma, I have learned something today. What you need to do every morning, stretch your tongue out and swing it left to right for 10 times each day. Yes? And the lady said she did it and it did help her. Have you ever come across something like that and have you ever used it on a patient?
No. I've never heard. But maybe you could try it.
Yeah, but since I already
I
tried
don't-
it because it's an exercise for the brain.
For the brain.
So I do it.
Okay. But there are many exercises, you know. You see, but as with everything else, we have to start early. So if you have a child who wants to play music, and you could encourage them, because we have to develop both sides of the brain. So you need to use both hands, rather than if you're right-handed, you stay right-handed until you're on. But that's something that we could do, particularly music and, well, anything that will have us using both hemispheres of the brain. That's one exercise. And then talk about learning a foreign language and maybe other like chess and so. Yes? You look
Mine is simple. Good evening, everybody.
Don't
So
come with
mine-
any highfalutin question, you know.
No, mine is very simple, though, because then there's also the theory that the brain helps us, that it doesn't stay overloaded, so we forget. So in order so you don't get the brain overloaded, is there some truth in that? So sometimes when we have like a busy, stressful day, in order so that the brain compensates and help us, it will release some things into forgetfulness. So could that be healthy? Is that true?
Yes, I would agree with that one too.
Okay.
Unlike the tongue. So what's the other? Okay.
Good night, everyone. So, are you saying that multitasking overloads our brain cells or cause these brain cells to die? Because I
Well,
multitask a lot.
It depends on the volume of it, I think. Everything in moderation. Even though we say eat the vegetables, moderately. Exercise, moderately. Make sure you get enough sleep, though. Yes? But everything else in moderation.
Okay, and another thing is Alzheimer's and dementia, can they be used interchangeably or is there a difference?
Okay.
between them?
So, probably yes or no. Alzheimer's says that this is primarily the brain that is, when I say primarily, is the loss of brain cells. Whereas you could have dementia from other causes. You talk about diabetes, high blood pressure, kidney disease, alcohol use. But if you have a cancer in the brain, Parkinson's, strokes, high blood pressure, yes? So these are what they call secondary causes of it. And maybe vitamin B12 deficiency, and so thyroid disease. So there are lots of other conditions, and these may be reversible, as we said earlier. Maybe. It depends on the level of damage. So, let me read this here. So the Lancet, which is a British journal, it said that there are potentially modifiable risk factors for dementia. And even though it is not effective in delaying or preventing dementia, there's optimism that intensive risk factor modification, especially during midlife, 45 to 65 years, maybe 2 or 3 of you in that area, has the potential to delay or prevent a substantial number of dementia cases worldwide. Now, there are 9 potentially modifiable risk factors. low educational attainment, midlife hypertension, midlife obesity, hearing loss, late life depression, diabetes, physical inactivity, smoking, and social isolation. Social isolation. This thing about living by yourself is not good. It's not good for anything. Not good. Yes? So when I was a boy, I grew up in Belmont. I remember that's my first knowledge of, well, not really the first, probably the second. I was born in Grove, and then I remember living on the Carnage. But Belmont is where I spent most of my growing up life. Went to school in Belmont Society Hall. And so when I want to walk for exercise, I walk by myself. But if I want to walk for, say other than that, then I walk with people. Walking with persons is mean that we have conversation and we laugh. I remember when we used to leave Belmont to go to matinee on the Carnage, when we coming up, everybody walk up together, we laugh, we talk about the movie, John Wayne threw this game, this punch, and this man duck, and so on and so forth. But we walk, yes, and we talked, and we socialize. But socialization now is with something in your hand, which doesn't make any sense to me. They tell me, I say, you play games? Yes, what you play? Something on a tablet, right? To me, a tablet is something you swallow, but now they have all kind of names for something else, you understand? So we have to recognize that this is what it is. Life is not about being selfish. Yes? If I come and we talk, you benefit, I benefit. It's not no one-way street. Both persons get some relief. So it's not about staying in our houses and looking at the TV or talking to somebody on the phone. Even though I have the phone in the house, but I will go in John Anglin, from where I live in Montparnasse. Go in John Anglin and look for them persons who I know, go wherever, around the country. Sauterres, Caracou, even Petit Martinique, right? Petit Martinique, Caracou, and Grenada. Because you have to touch, yeah, that's the... We have to touch flesh and smile and have a cup of tea or whatever is your thing. But social isolation is not good. Not good at all. And when you see we all leaving home, even though I am in agreement with folks leaving home, but we need to not be too far away from the family, from the friends with whom we grew. Even the friends we make along the way, we need to socially isolate. So you see these 9 things here that they said, 9 of them. Social isolation, I'll put number 1, smoking. And you don't even have to smoke yourself, but the secondhand smoker among people who smoke a lot, that happens. Physical inactivity. Physical inactivity is another one of these risk factors that could be potentially modified. Well, physical inactivity says everything, because what does the exercise do? What does the exercise do? I'll bring the microphone to this man here. You're giving him one for me? No, I want to exercise. What does physical, oh, you have one? Okay. Yeah, what does it do for us? It lets the blood flow. Yes? It lets the blood flow, and the blood flows to every part of the body. Yeah? To the heart, to the brain, to the lungs, the kidneys, every part of the body needs that blood flow. So that's why we see here that they're talking about, and they talk about late life depression, and late life depression could be part of being by yourself. Yes? You have no one with whom you could speak. You probably don't have much to, you're eating by yourself. And that's something I also say to patients when I see patients who might have an anxiety and depression. Go outside in the yard and maybe...
Use the mic.
Lord, sorry, the mic is in the right hand. It's just that it must come to the mouth. Yeah, sorry. So So that is what we need. We need to eat with folks.
We won't have to.
We have two children, a son in Jamaica and a daughter in America. And every other Sunday we have lunch together. Even though we here and they there, the Zoom thing allows it. Allows us to see each other and eat and laugh and listen to music, even though we're miles apart. So these are these are things we could do to help us with our mental health. It makes sense to, probably get a neighbor or even if not, find somebody to have a lunch with sometime, even if you have to go in public. And remember physical inactivity. That is a key thing, because it will help us to be fit. It will help us to lose weight and make the pancreas better able to manage with the calories that we're taking in, and certainly help with the diabetes. And because we are walking and feeling good, the good chemicals in the brain would allow us to feel better and maybe less depressed. The hearing loss, well, quite often we see patients who are hard of hearing. I never really understood, well, I haven't understood the fact about the dementia, but surely that they may become very paranoid because they're not hearing, and if you're blind to it and they're not seeing, then you believe that persons are talking about you, and that doesn't help. But like I said, I can't. The midlife obesity, you could understand if you start putting on, well, I think close to what you weigh. I wouldn't say your weight at 21 should maybe be your weight until the end of your life, but maybe you could say close to. So if you're 125, maybe you could give you 130, 135, but not 230 or 235. That amount of weight is, it doesn't help the joints. Yeah, it doesn't help the joints, and with that comes arthritis and other issues. So the midlife obesity, midlife hypertension, and the issue with the low education and attainment, it's dying. Okay. Talk too much.
No. You okay there?
Yes. You okay with it? Yeah, I think so. Oh, it's on the side, but he put it. Yes. So the issue about the low education and attainment, it means that the way it works is that it doesn't, you hearing? Yes. So it doesn't, it's too near? Oh, okay. Yes, it doesn't say allow you to develop the mental capacity, and therefore the issue about the dementia, I suppose, becomes more, say it happens more readily, or let's see. Yes, it makes you more vulnerable to the cognitive deficit, and we talk about sleep also. We need to have maybe 6 or 8 hours sleep in the night. I don't know how many. That's a lot for some persons, but we need to be able to sleep well And it helps the general mental health with good sleep. And a lot of sleep is mental. And when patients appear in the hospital not sleeping, then you want to know if they have, if you have a lot of thoughts in your head that are preventing the brain from shutting down, or if you have or the presence of say hallucination, like you hear people speaking to you who are not really present. So let's pause again and see if there are any other questions before we take the
Good night. Good night, Doc. Good night,
Yes.
everyone. You have me thinking.
Hmm?
I say you have me thinking, and I'm thinking, well, what's running through my mind is that not everything you forget should be thrown to dementia. Dementia, right? Because then I would have that full time. I believe sometimes we forget conveniently. I do,
But that's not forgetting.
Huh?
That's not forgetting, because with dementia you have to not be able to recall.
No, that's why I'm saying not every time you forget something is because you are getting there or it's a
Yes.
sign,
Yes. Yes.
There are some things I'm not interested in,
Yes.
and I wouldn't retain it.
Of course.
So if we have a conversation and it's not interesting to me or it doesn't matter to me, by tomorrow I might ask you, what? Because really and truly, it didn't register, My wife say I forget. But if something is important to me, trust me, it sticks. I don't remember number, but if I have to call you and I know it's important, I would remember that number. So I don't think that everything that we forget is an indication or a sign of dementia, I just believe that we're getting old, we're aging, and as everything else, everything's die slowly. So we brain going to have issue, we body go have issue, because it's part of the process,
The aging process, yeah.
But it's not because you forget something, it's because, it's a sign. Because I don't think we will have that capacity to remember everything as we were when we were 18 or
Yes.
19 or 20. So we will forget certain things,
Yes.
but to the point where you're forgetting your home or your spouse and things, I think that is a sign of, things are getting real bad. But generally, we all forget. So I don't know if, you could elaborate on that a little for us.
Well, I will hasten to add that the forgetfulness has to cause significant impairment in social or occupational functioning and represent a significant decline from a previous level of function. Yes? So it's not at the drop of a hat if you forget, but if it's something that is continuing and worsening, so you forgot your key today, and then you keep forgetting the key over the next 3 weeks, and then later on your things. So it has to be progressive, number one. And then, like I said, it has to interfere with your functioning at work, at play, and generally impairment. So you know that if you are the accountant and now after some time you can't even add 2 and 2, then something is the matter. Yeah? So there has to be a great change in the level of functioning. Yes, sir. No, we could hear you. No, not with the mic, but maybe if you speak without the mic.
Yeah. What I was saying now is, based on what you just said, like the last things you said, with traumatic experiences in your life could cause like a blockage in your mind to these things. like, certain things you might go through, like in the case of young girls who just go through abuse and stuff, the mind operates in a certain way that the mind blocks all these things, and certain things get in the way
Yes.
of getting them to a point where they could go forward with their life and get back to a place of normalcy. So the question I was trying to pose is if trauma could affect the last thing you said just now.
Well, the trauma is if you have, you see, like people like Muhammad Ali and some of those football players who get knocked in the head constantly. People who have seizures and they knock in their head or things. That is, hold on.
But what you're talking about is that physical trauma.
But I'll come back to that.
You commented.
So that is what we will see. But if this young person, if you had occasion to talk and get her to, what's the word I'm looking for? Get her to open up, because that is what is necessary, The stress. I remember seeing a young woman who came with what they said was a paralysis of the right lower limb. She couldn't move. And they did all the tests, and everything was negative. And what do you think happened? When she leaves going to see her friends on a Sunday, the mommy will say, yes, go on. When you come back with your belly big, you'll know where you're going. And this sort of stress, one day the brain just couldn't take too much, couldn't take any more. So she appeared with this, but once you're able to gain her confidence, and she spoke, and she was able to relieve herself of that burden. And this is what would happen here, because people who have PTSD, once they're able to speak about it, because speaking about it is the remedy. There's no medicine to say that would help you to do this without you relieving yourself of the stress. So quite often that wouldn't come under this heading. It won't come under this heading. It's just some stress-related issue that she will have to open up and talk to somebody, and she will be well again. He or she will be well again. Anyone else? So as we said earlier on, the management takes the form of counseling to the family members, so they will be able to care for this person. In no other way can we help than being there for this person, because you can't teach the old dog new tricks. He or she won't accept that anything is wrong, and they're not going to ever be able to recall, and live the way you want he or she to live, being able to sit and eat and sleep when you say. That's not going to happen, because they don't have the memory. I said there's some situations when it may be, as this said here, we may be able to modify what is happening by taking care of the diabetes and the physical activity and taking care of the social isolation. But the Alzheimer's itself, where there is loss of the brain cells and brain function, that is not repairable. But we could make your life less of a hell if we understand what is happening and try our utmost to share the burden. Share the burden with. We had a Alzheimer's Association, but it soon fell apart after the death of the parents or the spouse. That family member stopped coming and it dwindled off. But in order for us to do well, we need to share and get other persons who are suffering similarly to help us with our burden, and to get the individual, him or herself, to understand that we have to be there for daddy or whoever the person is, because they won't be able to care for him or herself without our help. That's what I think. Yes, ma'am.
A pleasant good night,
Yes,
Doctor.
good night.
I just want to say I am caring for my mom. I don't think right now she's in like any severe dementia, but I can see it progressing. But what I've noticed is where there is support, it's one of the best things for them. And I see her as somebody that she needs things like normal. Anytime, if I have to, like her day, it goes well when she's aware of what comes next, you know, that type of thing. And if things changes, like you will tell her, you know, she knows she could go to a kettle to get water, and then you change it, you see that that's, you know, not safe. You say that, okay, there's a mug now, that's what you will use. She still think, why I can't use a kettle, you know, and that type of stuff. So, you know, it's a lot of support and understanding. I mean, a lot of people may not understand that. Like you think, you know, if you have things to do, you might say, well, you know, I have to go home. I have an extra job. I see it, which not as a job, but something that I think I need to do besides being at work from 8 to 4. When I go in the evening, that is my time to spend with my mom. So I might choose to do that over doing something else because you may not have, you know, she wouldn't have that kind of support. I remember one night I was sleeping and all of a sudden, I don't sleep very deeply, and I heard this bang. When I look at the clock, it was 1:45. So the door actually, something said, get up. And when I went to the door, it was wide open.
There was the door to the outside?
Yeah, to the house. And when I looked, she was on the verge of the top step, going down. And she said to me, I ain't coming back. I'm going in my house. You know, wherever she's going. I got really scared because in my mind, what about if, you know, when you come outside, it's dark, and you step down, you know, next morning I will just find her down there, you know, dead. And I put things in place to make sure that will never happen again. And she will say, sometimes she go into sleep and she'll say, I hear the keys dingling, you're hiding all the keys, you know, that type of thing. So I put all things in place that, so I think the people in the home, it's a lot, but if we committed, remember, they care for us. So this is what we have to do. It could be hard. I'm the only girl, and sometimes it's kind of hard for me, but God is helping me to really focus and making me strong that I can walk this, you know, because now when I go home tonight, she ain't sleeping, she waiting. So as I come in, she'll say, hey, well, your foot real hot, where you gone all day, you know, that type of thing. And now I have to stay, even when I go home tired, I have to stay now and have my night session, because I might go to bed all 12 o'clock, 1 in the morning, because I was late. So these are things I know. I say, God, please just give me the extra grace to do this, because it's hard sometimes, but you know in the end, it's worth it all. Yeah, because you wouldn't just give her to somebody to care for when we get tired, put her in a home and all that, and we are able, you know, that type of thing. So I'm glad we're having this, and even for us too, because sometimes I tell myself, Lord, I'm forgetting, you know, and you know, I'm speaking against this dementia because I don't want to go that way. Sometimes I'm speaking and a word I know wouldn't come for a while, and I would just breathe, and then there it comes. So we all have that in us to go to that way, but we have to keep our minds sane. We can't do it all alone. We need, you know, to stay in the Spirit, be in tune with God, because He alone that will help us go through all of this.
But my point is that I suppose most of us would have flown on jet planes. What does the air hostess say to us when the oxygen mask falls? What does the air hostess say? Put on your mask first. So no matter how much, I am very pleased to hear that you're caring for her at home, but you have to remember your own health. Yes? So maybe you are the only girl, but you have brothers. It doesn't say that the brothers can't help somebody. Yes? You have to find time for yourself sometimes. Find some place where you could leave her for a few hours. You could go in town and shop and don't have to worry about coming back, or if you go someplace for a couple of days over the weekend that you yourself could have some downtime, because it's necessary. It don't make sense both of you being unwell. So take care of her, yes, it's very laudable and we all applaud you, but remember your health. Remember to put on your mask before you put on hers. And can't say anymore. So how do we, what was the question I was thinking about? Yes, what did you do for yourself yesterday? Mr. Man in the striped jersey. What did you do for yourself yesterday? No? What did you do for yourself yesterday? Oh, you want the microphone?
I lie down and rest.
Okay. What did you do for yourself yesterday? Miss Lady, bring the microphone, let somebody answer. She said she laid and rested. Huh? No, you. No, him, I was asking him. What did you do for yourself yesterday?
Oh, yesterday, what
Yes.
I did yesterday,
But what you did for yourself today?
I make coconut oil.
Huh?
Making coconut oil. That's what I
Okay.
did yesterday.
All right. Anybody else? What did you do for yourself yesterday?
I didn't like this.
You worked. You want to say what you did for yourself yesterday? What did you do for yourself yesterday?
I was in my shop. Yeah.
So, what did you do? No, what you did for yourself yesterday?
Come back to me.
I'll come back. So what did you do?
Now that I reflect on it, nothing for myself.
I actually got my hair done yesterday. I got my hair done.
What did you do for yourself yesterday?
I had lunch and I slept.
Quite often when I ask the patients, what did you do for yourself yesterday? Well, I washed, I cooked, I ironed, but what did you do for you? Yeah? What did you do for you? Yeah? We have to do something. We have to take care of ourselves every day, whether you spend some time looking at the beautiful moon, or you go somewhere and walk in the bushes, or you look at the sun setting, you know. These are things that happen naturally and are free, and it gives us some sort of satisfaction. So we must take care of ourselves daily so that we could be biopsychosocially well. Mental health is optimum, and if we don't have it, we're in trouble. So we have to care for ourselves every day. Quite often, I know people frown upon going by the rum shop, but the rum shop is not. I don't think it's being run as it should run. It should be a place where you could go and have conversation and have some downtime if you feel like having a beer, a glass of wine, or drink a rum. And we should be able to go with our wives, but the way it is, it doesn't, I mean, the way most of them operate is that they don't allow us to be able to have quality time after work, let's say. Yes? Where we could go somewhere with, even if it's a place to stop in for the first time because we go to Karaku and we want to stop there. It should be some place where we could relax and have good quality time. because time with ourselves matter. Yes? Whether you want a hot cup of chocolate or you want a glass of brandy or you just want to look at the football game, you do something, but for ourselves, every day. Think about it and think about what we could do to improve our health. Every day. Every day. So dementia, like I said, is a serious illness. It's probably more, like I said, dementia and diabetes, probably both of them coming first. Because with the dementia, you lose your whole self. Your entire personality goes. You know, like I said, you don't remember anything, you don't remember yourself, you can't live independently anymore. And diabetes will take away all your organs, everyone, if you don't manage it well. So the whole aim in life is about trying to prevent. And we have to encourage the little ones to prevent things from early. Otherwise, couple smoky pipe, as they say. Well, thank you for having me. I'll gladly come again because I like to. One more question? Okay. But you're the first to say what you did for yourself yesterday.
To be honest, nothing really.
Okay.
I just walk all day.
Yes.
But I wasn't here for the beginning. Good evening, everyone. You talk about stress and all other activities that will cause dementia and all that. But this part of stress I'm talking about is the homely stress. Homely stress between husband and wives. Mm-hmm. You know, that sort of exercise part of life. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking about sex. I mean, we in the church and nobody will ask that, but it is a whole part of life whereby the husband may starve the wife or the wife starve the husband. And that is a big part of life in itself. And no one want to talk about it. That is what caused the dementia later on in life because they're hungry. Mm-hmm. So could you share some light on that for the people in the house?
Before you say anything, just stick a point in that right there. What I'm saying is, all right, with what she said, it's very factual because, as she said, sex plays a major role, not just in the body, but in the mind. Right? Mm-hmm. It helps you release. Right? It helps you unload. Sorry, thank you. Let me repeat. Sex plays a very major part in the life. It helps you release and unload, not just in the body, in the mind. So, I have seen this many times. Maybe you have seen it more often than me, but I think that it would be more prevalent in the case of people that deals with these kind of issues, that spends most of the time alone. Based on what you said, all of the things you said tonight, like social isolation. This is people who don't have no people. They don't have nobody. They choose to live an isolated life, so they don't have nobody to, sex them up. So this will play a major part in the whole thing. So what she said is pretty much correct to the aspect of dementia. It will be a major factor, contributing factor of what leads people, part of what leads people to that place. So I'm very interested to hear your take on it. Yes.
But I don't have any evidence to say that it does, but being human, I would think that It surely does. Yes, we need to be able to enjoy each other. Yes, and in the absence of that, I would think it would bring on some unnecessary, say, stress on both individuals, and that stress can lead to depression. But I don't know how it may not lead to dementia because it has to be a long-term something. And if it's happening, let's say it's happening because the person has diabetes and can have an erection, or you have high blood pressure or cholesterol problems, and we have to remember all the medical things too, you know. Yes, we have to remember the medical things because you see, the inability to have an erection can be managed by, you know, they have Viagra and they have other issues that can be used. But I suppose the major point is that sex with the wife or with the girlfriend doesn't start in the bedroom. It starts on how you treat each other throughout the day. Yes? You agree? Yes? It doesn't start with the act. It starts how we treat each other throughout the day. Yes? You touch on the shoulder, you hold around the waist, maybe. I mean, everybody knows what they want to do. Maybe nice bottom girl, you can't. Yeah? Nothing wrong with saying, oh, what a wonderful meal you cooked today. Yes? So it's not just about the act, it's about the whole behavior that surrounds the act. Yeah? You have to remember that. Yeah? Huh? Well, they have older person here, so everybody could attest. But that is how it is, and quite often as young persons, when we young and strong, we don't remember that is part of the whole process. Some people talk about foreplay, but it's part of the whole process. Yeah? You call me at work and tell me how, from work, you call from work and say, well, girl, how you doing? Or girl asks you, how you doing, boy? Things so and so on. But it has to. You can't come home drunk and and your breath stink of alcohol, or you smoke cigarette all day, you're smoking marijuana, and your breath stink of it, your clothes, and you want to lie down in the bed next to the person, whether the woman drinking or the man drinking, and want to have sex with her. So you have to remember, it's a whole big process. Yeah? All right. So you agree? All right. So let's have a vote. Yes. All right. Well, like I said again, thank you for having me, and we could talk again another time about another subject. And
so let me say thank you to Dr. Spencer. I think some of the things that I got from it is lifestyle changes. And it doesn't start from adulthood, it starts from childhood, from your birth. So you have to ensure that the little people that we're having, we have to start there, and then it goes all the way up into adulthood. Yeah? So at this time, I'll call Sister Terry Ann, who would say our thank you to Dr. Spencer. Yeah.
Dr. Spencer, we, the members of the St. George's Baptist Church, would like to thank you for taking the time to share your knowledge with us. I believe that we are better equipped to assist our loved ones and the loved ones of others who have been diagnosed, or even to detect the onset of dementia. Again, I would like to say thank you, and I am kindly asking you to accept this token of our appreciation and gratitude.
Thank you all, but remember to put on your mask first before you try to take care of anybody. You have to put on that mask first. Yes? Thank you all. Get home safely and do something for yourself tomorrow.
Thank you. So, Pastor, I hand over to you to close off in prayer. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much, Dr. Spencer, for sharing and talking with us about dementia. Just a matter of note, this evening I had to go and pick up Brendan to come here. I'm just sharing an example of something that happened, and some of us sometimes think you had to be old to forget. So first, I leave home to go to Brendan. I went the opposite direction and came down through Cafe. So that happened. So I leave from Cafe and I'm driving up to go to Woban. I was on the way to Calavini, now I'm going to And sometimes we have too much on our mind. It's right, you say multitasking, and it do happen. And sometimes we don't focus on one thing, and a number of people face that, and it's a reality. But I think it's important what you have shared with us this evening. And as a church, we really believe in our motto, our tagline, which is no one left behind. And we really want to help, and I want to thank Family Life, Sister Asha and her team. Give them a round of applause for a great subject. A matter of fact, my aunt, who was on the train this evening, while we shared the link, she sent saying, you know, she's so happy she worked with those persons, and she was saying how important that is, and she was so thankful. And someone from Canada now sent a note saying, so it is important, and all over the world. And Sister Allison sharing about the mother, and I know a number of you at home, it's important to care for the elder one, and do not get upset, as you rightly said, but to be there for them. So I want to thank you all for coming. Thank you all for viewing. And please share the link with other persons, because I think it is very important that... Dr. Spencer, you want to say something? Please, sorry. No, it's okay.
But I'm wondering if the church and the churches could have a center or centers for persons who may want to drop off their loved ones during the day.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah?
That's an interesting thought. That's a very, very interesting thought. And I guess something our church can consider. We normally consider daycare for the younger one, but we do not consider daycare for the adult.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
St. George,
adults probably could help, and if they are among the young one, that might just help them.
Right, if they're young, the younger one, that could help them. Thank you very much, Dr. Spencer. That's an excellent thought. Having a daycare for the elderly, which you drop them off in the morning and pick them up in the afternoon. Wow, I never thought of that. Never thought of that. Excellent. Anyway, you heard that from the doctor himself, but I think it's excellent. And also the question of discussing about sex. That's an issue we some don't want to talk in the church. So that's something we need to talk about more. We need to bring persons in, and Family Life, Sister Asha McKee and Family Life, I'm giving you all a mandate. Get some persons to come in and talk about sex in the church. It's important that we have this session, because I think it's important to educate our people to talk about it, because that's something, it is something about taboo, about talking about sex in the church, and we shouldn't. It's part of life, and therefore we should talk about it. And as a matter of fact, it helps to educate our younger people, the older people too can give advice and talk about it, so it's helpful. And therefore it's not something in some closet somewhere. It's real, it's happening all around us, whether we like it or not. That's the way it is. And the church should not be in some way not talking about it. So Family Life, Asha, I think is something that we want you all to look at and talk about. So really thank all of you for coming. We have next week is prayer with the prayer group, but Bible study starts back the first Thursday in November. We'll start our study on the book of Acts. We had a lot happening this month that we couldn't start it, but the first week in November, first Thursday night in November, we have study in the book of Acts. So please, you read the book of Acts, and please, please study it. Sunday, we have a very special guest, a very, very special guest with us on Sunday. And so I hope you make the time and come. For those who are viewing, he will be coming here to tell his life story, an amazing story. And I look forward in seeing you in church on Sunday morning, whether it's online or whether here. Invite a friend with you. It's Jersey Sunday too, where you don't have to dress up to come to church. A jersey and a jean pants is fine, decent, and be here in church. So I'm happy you are. Let us stand and pray and be dismissed. And I really want to thank all of you for coming and all of you for listening wherever you are. And thank you, Dr. Spencer, again for sharing with us and the idea about that daycare center for the adult. That's an excellent idea. Thank you so much. Father, we are so grateful to you for who you are, and we thank you for the opportunity, Lord, to be blessed. Thank you for Dr. Spencer, Lord, for talking about dementia and the way, God, we can help others and share our lives. Thank you for the many families today, Lord, who are working very hard to take care of their parents and those who are suffering from that. We pray for strength for the sons and daughters, Lord, and friends who have the great responsibility of looking after the family member. We pray for those, Lord, in the hospital and those at the homes who are looking after persons who are suffering, Lord, and who have a difficulty and a challenge in that area. We pray as we go to our homes, you go with us and you bless us. And the offering, God, that we will take up today as we leave, we ask you to bless it in Jesus' precious name. Amen. Amen. Good night to everybody. Thank you for coming. God richest blessing. Look forward in seeing you in church on Sunday. And please don't leave with your offering. Sister Rose, take up offering to help those who are poor. Please give your offering to her as you leave. God bless you.